A lot of friends in. It's nice to see the Rover shirts at the front as well. So I'd like you to please welcome international soccer player, one of the best. Please welcome Alan Shearer. There we are. That's the gentleman's in, and it's anything goes. Anything goes.
I used to play fullback, yeah, centre half. That was when they had a guy in the middle used to watch, and any tackle below the neck was legal. And goalkeepers, you didn't need to wrap them in cotton wool, you know. And people like Alan Shearer would have scored 90 goals in the first 5 minutes.
Shearer coming in, scores! Lovely goal! Lovely goal! Back into the middle, and a goal from Shearer! It's a great ball into Newell. Shearer! 1-0! The big man, Shearer. What a response by England's top scorer!
I'm interested in is playing football and enjoying it. That's the beauty of football. You never know what's around the corner. You've got to take every day as it comes. If you're going to be a top footballer and you want to win things, then you've got to be able to play in pressurised situations.
Alan Shearer, magnificently done!
Alan is, you get exactly what you see. You get strength, you get power, pace, aggression, and you get straightforward things. When he's face onto that goal, you know he's going to finish up with a shot. And if there's somebody in the way, unlucky. He's like the gunslingers, you know, the fellas with the steely eyes. He's just a good, steady, strong Geordie lad who's got his head on his shoulders. He's got that little glow inside of him. And I think he's just like the good old-fashioned gunslinger from the Wild West.
Part and parcel of being a lad in Newcastle is as soon as you can walk, and football is thrown at your feet, and certainly I was no different. Whether it was in the garden or in the front street or whatever, all I was interested in was playing football. There was 5 or 6 of us on the estate who, after school every night or on a Saturday or Sunday, all it was football, football, football really, and that's all we were interested in. On the old school playing fields, it was great. I think it was a Wednesday afternoon. Used to look forward to a Wednesday afternoon every week for the football to come along. Couldn't come quick enough.
Well, my earliest memories of just how good a footballer he was. He was always wanted to be a footballer. He spent every minute of every day either thinking about football or playing football. Games, lessons, he always wanted to be the main man whenever he played for the school team. He was always the best player in the school team. He was very much a winner. I mean, he was the school captain, but the sad thing was we didn't have enough players. So although we wanted to play Alan up front, if we played him up front, we could never get the ball to him. So in fact, he had to play it in midfield.
Yeah, I do. I remember playing midfield, and that was, as you said, basically the engine room. And thought highly of myself at the time, and thought I could do everything. Thought I could score from corners and throw-ins and goal kicks and everything. I was one of them that wanted to do and take everything really.
Alan was in I think the under-13s was the next side that we were running that particular season, and the team manager there, Ted Hayes of Walker School, was in charge of the City under-13s, and Alan was a newcomer to that and instantly made an impression, not so much with his football as with his personality.
At that age, you just got to enjoy football, to be honest, and play for the love of it. And obviously, you still enjoy it now, but just go out and play and be yourself.
The majority of the games for the City are friendly games, so there's not that terrible element of you must win this game or whatever. So there's a lot of development of the skills in the course of the season. And of course, the team managers try to concentrate on them developing as a team, but also the members developing as individuals. I mean, I have to be fair and say that everybody who plays for Newcastle Boys will be involved with the youth club as well. So they'll have a regular programme with their youth clubs, and all this football is helping them to develop as individuals.
I think it was one of the old school teachers recommended me, look, try and get yourself into a boys club because they are very, very good. And Wallsend had such a high reputation, along with Cramilton Juniors that I was with for a year as well, that I think I went in and asked them if I could just train with him.
He was very straightforward, even at 13. Yeah. If he had anything to say, rather than have a word with his parents and get his parents to come and talk to you, he would do it himself, which I found was a tremendous asset for any kid at that age.
We've got some great memories of being at Wallsend, as you can imagine. I mean, we're all kids and used to go away on trips and what have you, and just a great days out and great weekends away, and playing football on the Sundays was something I used to look forward to, and a great bunch of lads, and the manager was great as well.
Always had a good first touch, could always pass a ball, and he always used to try and hold players off, but because he was a little bit frail and a little bit lightweight, he used to get shoved off, but it never deterred him.
There's been a lot of people that have helped me along. Obviously, my mum and dad. Without them, then I obviously wouldn't be here today. There's an old man, Jack Hickson. I don't know whether any of you yet. So he picked me up, I think, when watching a game when I was 11 or 12. And the relationship just grew from then. It cost me a fortune in phone calls. Still ring him to this day, 2 or 3 times a week.
Well, the funny thing is that there were very few of the scouts that showed all that much interest in Alan, and Jack Hickson seemed to know right from the word go that Alan was something special.
The first moment I saw Alan, he would be 13. The most noticeable feature about him, he's a winner. He wanted to win, he was a competitor.
Jack Hickson worked for me as a manager in Southampton as a club in that area. And Jack's typical of the northeast fella that's passionately in love with football and yet isn't involved on a full-time basis, but would probably love to manage Newcastle. And he had a team of his own. One was his brother-in-law, I think, or his cousin, and another one was a friend. And between them, they covered, like, from the Scottish borders down to Middlesbrough.
The major thing is to endeavour to ascertain how much potential remains, that the boy hasn't peaked early, that there's still that margin for success.
Jack Hickson, he's family now, to be honest. I mean, I've known him such a long time. first memories of him are standing in his overcoat watching me playing for Wallsend and Cramlington and Newcastle boys, and he was interested of me in, obviously in a footballer, but as a person as well. He was a friend not only to me but to my mum and dad as well, and if I ever wanted to do anything or be anywhere, he would be there offering to do anything for me. He's a very, very nice man.
In fact, he wasn't just sort of getting a star player for Southampton. He was actually becoming a member of the Shearer family. And whenever Alan perhaps had any hard times, then his first port of call would be Jack.
Your family can make decisions or help you to make decisions which really aren't a decision for a footballer. You need someone who is detached from it, who knows a bit about the game to help you.
That's a good thing about boys' clubs. I think it's all right. Football is the important thing, but growing up is all part and parcel of it as well. The parents are putting their faith in the managers there. They're saying, here's my boy, you can have him for a day or a couple of days, and you look after him and teach him what you can, basically, not only about football but about life as well.
Our deputy head organised a careers interview for Alan, and Alan, even at careers interviews, would say, I'm going to be a footballer.
Well, that was me, to be honest. I'd set my mind on being a footballer, and as I said beforehand, whether I thought I could achieve what I have done is a different matter, but I always wanted to, and always had the determination to push myself a little bit further. But if I'm honest, schoolwork didn't really interest me, to be honest. All that interested me was kicking the ball around on a pitch, and probably wrongly, really, I should have studied a little bit more just in case. But I always hoped and thought that I would make a football.
When you were younger, what players did you idolise and follow? Kevin Keegan, when he came to Newcastle, I think, when I was 12 or 13, and I stood since 9:30 in the morning to watch his debut against QPR, and you're blinded by scoring a goal, and I never missed a game when he was there, so he was the big hero.
That's making you all feel your age a bit, that, isn't it?
I went to Newcastle on trial and could have signed for them on schoolboy forms, but the question's always been put to me, why did I sign for Southampton? And something that I've never really been able to give a good answer for. A, I got on very well with the coaches down there. B, there was 2 or 3 of the lads from the northeast who were at Southampton, and for company for me for going out down on the train, because it was a long journey. But I had just followed a gut feeling, really, and that's what I've done in life, and it turned out very well for me.
Once you leave schools, when you really become a footballer, and the Southampton youth system must have been very, very good. I mean, Alan, although we had him at Newcastle and so on, he went to other teams for trials, he always liked Southampton, and he was always in our hearts. We always felt he would go to Southampton.
He played in goal at the trial for Newcastle United. Now I can imagine what happened, really, and it's probably true. They probably said, can anybody play in goal? And of course Alan, being the lad he was, would probably say, yeah, I can, because he could do anything. And he probably volunteered to go in goal, but of course now the story comes round that when Newcastle United took Alan for a trial, they put him in goal.
At Newcastle at Benwell on that particular day, I was there involved with the training, and we had more than our fair share of players, and we had very few goalkeepers. In fact, we organised a sort of 5-a-side tournaments across the park, and Alan volunteered to go in goal. And of course, ever since then, it's been mooted that Newcastle United only saw Alan as a goalkeeper, which is quite untrue. We did see him as a striker, and we did like him very much as a player, but our loss was Southampton's game,
I was very lucky to have the youth team manager then at the time, Dave Merrington. Him being from the northeast, knew what we were going through, and it was hard at times. I mean, leaving the northeast to travel 300 odd mile down the motorway to Southampton at 15 years of age was hard at times. But the club were good. They understood that we missed home, and we missed our friends and family, and whenever they could, they let us pop back up on the train and spend a weekend up there.
I remember the first Christmas when we had 6 months there. Then Christmas came and we went home for a week. And I can remember coming back on the train with him. I can remember him saying, I don't want to come back. He doesn't want to come back down. He didn't want to come back down on Southampton and train. He wanted to stay at home. I mean, that first 6 months was the hardest, I think, and I felt exactly the same. We got on the train and we said, should we go back? But once you get the week, you get back down there and you get back into it. We settled in again, and it was just like home.
When you've left home, and you're missing your family, and you're missing your friends, and you're a long way from home, and you've got this big bellowing Geordie voice who's howling at you from the touchline to do things on the pitch that were hard at first, but he was exactly what I needed and what a lot of lads needed at Southampton. He was absolutely tremendous for me. He was great.
I think when kids come in, they're all a little bit reserved, and it takes time for them to find their feet. And one of the things I think that's important to them when they're training as part of their program is to develop their character. And Alan always had what I called a very positive approach, and I encouraged him to develop that and to be his own man. And we had a system then where, even as young as they were, when they'd been in 6, 7, 8 months, what I like to do is to get a feedback from them, and Alan was never afraid to give a feedback. For instance, if the back four weren't defending well enough, he'd tell them. Or if we weren't getting enough crosses in, before I'd actually said my piece in at half-time, he would have already said to the team, we're not getting enough crosses in the box. So he was always a very positive boy that way.
I suppose I've been lucky enough to have understanding managers. I should imagine that one or two of them, if they heard me in the dressing room, then they probably wouldn't like it. But that's my way. That's the way I always have been. And you take me for what you see, really. And I'll give my opinion. And I'm also willing to listen to opinions as well, which I think is very important. But at the end of the day, you've got to listen to your manager.
And naturally, Shearer. Felgate changed his mind. Shearer opens the scoring.
When you watch an individual develop, you're not only watching him develop in his training program and in his coaching program, you're watching him develop as an individual. And I'd gone to the manager quite early on, after about 12 months, and said, hey, we've got a boy here. I think we can force through very quickly because he's a man now.
It went very well for me in the youth team, first of all. Lucky enough to score goals in my first season as a youth player. And then my second season was a mixture of the youth and the reserves. And then out of the blue, a call came for me to make my debut at 17. Danny Wallace had failed a fitness test in the morning, and I was told that I was going to be playing.
We'd hit a spell in the club where goals had stopped. And I'd gone to the manager, it was Chris Nicholl at the time, and said, look, we've got a boy here. I think you can actually play him now in the first team. And that's always a big step for a manager. That brings a little bit of fear, because to throw somebody in so young, sometimes it can backfire on you.
And David Merrington, in conversation to me, said, I wanted Alan Shearer in the first team. Before that, he said he was on fire. He was on fire.
Anyway, about 6 weeks later, there was a situation developed where we really needed to put him in, and it was against Arsenal. And of course the boy surprised everybody because he scored 3.
He's not offside. Keeps the ball in play. Cross to the far side. And there's Shearer. Shearer has scored. A cross by Graham Baker. A knockdown by Alan Shearer. And Alan Shearer's full debut for Southampton. He's on the score sheet in 5 minutes. Ball played out by Shearer to Clark on the right side. Turned into the middle. And there it is. Superb goal by Shearer. Colin Clark. Cross goal. Back in. And Shearer's there. And Shearer's got a hat-trick. Shearer has got a hat-trick.
To score a goal was great, but to get 3 goals was just a dream come true, really. The next morning was brought down to earth, Dave Merrington, or should I say an hour after the game. See you in the morning to pick the kid up and wash the kid. Great for me, wasn't it? Hat-trick one day, then washing the dirty kit and the boots the next day.
I must admit, I never expected in my wildest dreams that he would produce an hat-trick like that. I mean, especially, he was being marked by some of the best defenders in the game, and he was. It just doesn't happen very often.
Southampton playing like a team, full of confidence, and Shearer in here for their third.
I met my wife laying you down there at the age of 17. and I think £25 a week I was on when I met her. So she never married me for my money.
I mean, I've never seen a football game in my life. I didn't even know who he was. Like, he was just an apprentice anyway, YTS. I used to have to buy him his drinks and things. I earned more money than he did to take him out.
June the 8th, big day for me. I'd just come back from Toulon with England under 21s, and a week after that I was married.
He'd just been and played in Toulon, the under 21s, and just before there was a rumour that he might have got called up to go. The first team were in Australia, somewhere like that, and the TV cameras came round and interviewed him about it and everything, and he said, "Oh, what would you have done if they'd asked you to go, like miss your wedding and go to Australia?" And he said he'd go to Australia. Says it all, doesn't it, really?
That was it. Seen her, and she was a girl for me.
Felt that when he went away from us, for instance, he started to go with England, with the England squad, I always felt we would have problems, because when he went away, whoever worked with him, it wouldn't take them long to recognise how good he was. And of course that happened. One of the guys who worked with him is Ray Harford, who's working with him now, and I think Ray recognised that straight away.
Terry Mancini was scouting for me at Luton when I was there. He'd been to see a game and he'd come back raving about this boy Shearer playing for Southampton, and a few months later I was actually working with him with the England under 21s, and straight away I was impressed with his attitude, his maturity. In fact, I made him skipper for the tournament, and he scored 6 goals, I think, 3 against Mexico.
I think it had been speculated in the press that 1 or 2 clubs were interested in me.
As soon as I come back from Toulon, I was at Wimbledon as manager, and I bid for him then. I wanted him to take him to Wimbledon.
I think I'd come off the golf course one day, and Southampton had been on the phone to my wife Lania, and said that they'd had an inquiry off Blackburn, but that's all it was, an inquiry.
When I came up here about 4 months later, I spoke to Kenny about him, and we just mulled it over, and we kept in contact through relationships, really. Yeah.
We'd actually been hunting Alan for quite a while. Kenny and Ray were both extremely keen to try and get hold of Alan, and I'd been talking to their chairman.
As it was then, Blackburn, I think, were in the second division, or the old second division as it was, and obviously weren't in the first division where I would like them to be. And, it was very nice to know that other clubs were interested in me. Yeah, it's flattering, really. I think it gives you confidence.
As soon as we got promotion, he was the one we was going to go for, but it wouldn't have happened if we hadn't got promotion. I don't think he'd have come here. Sensibly enough, I don't blame him, but he wanted to come to a Premier League. He was a star of the Premiership then.
During the summer of '92, I think we got to the early part of July when we actually agreed a fee, and we obtained permission to speak to Alan.
Alan certainly, wherever and whoever he's worked with before he came here, is certainly they've had a tremendous influence on him, and that's why he is the way that he is.
When we came up for the talks prior to signing for Blackburn, Kenny's wife Marina actually took Lena out shopping and showed her the spots in Southport where to go and spend her money.
I mean, Kenny was brilliant. He made us feel like wanted, needed immediately, you know. It felt like Blackburn wasn't another club. It was almost like family feeling, really.
You can only look back at your own experience. Well, that's what I tried to do, and I know when I went to Anfield from Celtic, the help that I got from players that were on the staff at the time, and that really helped me settle. The people really made Marina and only 2 kids at the time, Kelly and Paul, feel really welcome at the club. And I've always believed that if I'm asking someone to come to the club I'm working at from another club, then I've got to do my best to help and try and make sure that they feel comfortable, they feel wanted, and they feel part and parcel of it.
I had Chloe. I just had Chloe for about a week, and I moved up into the rented house, and I think that helped really, because everybody knew I was new with a baby, you know, so everybody sort of rallied around and came to see me. And Marina's, Kenny's wife, was brilliant. She took me under her wing and really looked after me.
Lania has been tremendously supportive of Alan and everything that he's done. And if I've felt in any little way, then A, it was part and parcel of my job, but B, I would have done it anyway because they're such a nice couple.
And what he's done for Blackburn in such a small amount of time is quite remarkable. He's done everything, hasn't he? He's won everything, both as a player and as a manager. And you can't help but respect the man. As I said, he's been everywhere, Celtic, Scotland, Liverpool, and he's seen the world. And he's won so many trophies that it's quite remarkable if you see his trophy room. Well, he's got the hard decision of going out and spending money. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all right spending money. You've got to spend money very, very wisely. And he brought the players into the club, and the players that he's brought have done an excellent job, really. As I said, in such a small amount of time. But, I mean, everyone respects him, and rightly so, because of what he's achieved in the game. But he didn't really take us for coaching. Ray Harford done all of the coaching. But as a man manager, he's second to none.
He wasn't Alan Shearer, as you know Alan Shearer now. You know, his record of scoring goals wasn't particularly good at Southampton. So he wasn't the Alan Shearer, and a lot of people were doubting the amount of money we paid for him. You know, 3 million for not a really guaranteed goal scorer. So there was probably people who doubted the buy, and we never had any doubts about it.
We got Kenny Dalglish here, and we got Ray Harford here, and once they identified the players that they wanted, then we were in their hands. I think it's fair to say directors don't pick players, we leave that to the management, we take their advice.
The thing that he feels most comfortable with are people around about him that he can put trust in, or he has faith in. And if he can do that, then that's very important.
We played at Darlington, and we was on the way to Scotland to play a pre-season trip, and there was a pocket of Blackburn supporters with a banner saying "Speedy, come back."
David Speedy was a firm favourite with the fans and had done very well in the season before, and that got them into the Premier League. And it was a big disappointment to some people to see him go. And there was a lot of pressure on me for that, not through no fault of my own, but because of people making a big thing out of the transfer fee, and because of people saying that I'd joined the wrong club and could have gone to a bigger and perhaps better club. But I wanted to be happy, and as I said, there was a huge weight on my shoulders, and to get that first goal in a Blackburn strip was very important to me. As I said, it was a huge relief to get off the mark. And after a quiet first half, the second half came along, and I thought it's been a long relief when I've seen it hit the back of the net.
And he got off to a great start right away with the players, because he said if you're struggling to find a pass, he says you knock it. He says long, if you want to just clear it, he says, and I'll be after it. And that was the best thing he could have said to lads, because they realised that despite the money that was paid for him and the publicity that went along with the transfer, that he was a decent fella. And that was, from then, he's never had anything other than large steps forward.
through your career without having a serious injury, and you've done very, very well.
I had a bad knee injury, and I'm very aware of what the injuries can be like. And he slipped, and the first thing I thought was cartilage.
It was the anterior cruciate ligament. Did it on Boxing Day against Leeds. In the first season I was at Blackburn, and in no way was it a bad tackle. I was just going through one-on-one with the goalkeeper, and going to shoot with my left foot, and the defender's taken my right foot away as he's taken the ball away as well, and the knee just gave way and obviously snapped.
And then the physio recommended he should rest it for 5 days, or 10 days it might have been. And he was anxious to come back and try it, and I think he came back and tried it 10 days later, and it went again.
It was terrible. It was like, you know, you think, oh my God, will he ever play again? Will he ever be the same player again? You know, but the thing is, Alan's got a really good attitude to it all. You know, it was never going to beat him. And even from the very beginning, the first day it even happened, they were saying, oh, it's this, that and the other. He knew in his own mind what it was, and he was right. But he never let it beat him, not once.
Football's a physical game, and you're going to get hurt, you're going to get cuts, and you're going to get injured. But if as I said, if it means then you winning a tackle for your teammate, or getting a corner, or getting a goal, then you've got to do that.
Well, the most important thing is the diagnosis to start with. I mean, they've got to get it right. So the guy got it right. He did the operation. It was obviously the guy must be very talented because his track record's been very good. He's got a few people back.
He says, I'm still a lucky lad. I'm still a lucky lad. You see, he had enough there and enough common sense to see that had this happened when he was in the formative years, 16, the natural impatience of clubs may have said, oh, not sure about this fella now.
I've been fortunate enough to be in the game for a while now, and if that had been the end of it, then that would have been the end of it. There's nothing I could have done about it, and if that was the case, then I would have been fortunate enough to have the years I had in the game, and I thoroughly enjoyed them. But managed to come back from the injury and probably stronger, really, mentally and physically.
You thought, I'll do it. I'll get back and I'll be better than I was before I show them.
You've got to be positive, because if you sit around and mope around and sulk, then you've lost half the battle, really. And if you be positive and think, yeah, I will come back a better player and I will come back a better person, then I think that's half the battle won. Machines that are relevant to me because of the injury that I've had. I've got to use them nearly every day. The quad machine, the hamstring machine, which the stronger your quads and hamstring are, the less stress it puts on your knees. Well, the only thing I know that says the scar, and I've never had a touch wood. I've never had a problem with it since I've had the operation. I've done everything that the surgeon asked me to do, and continue to do it. As I said, nearly every day. And as long as I keep on doing that, I don't envisage any problems.
He stayed on the island with us pre-season, and we just thought we'll take him to get him back in amongst the lads because he's worked so hard and he's done so well. And he looked all right in training. So I said, do you fancy sitting on the bench? He went, yeah, like, obviously he was excited. It was starting to come back a wee bit. And I put him on the bench, and I said, but don't start bending my ear that you want to play. I said, just sit on the bench and just content yourself. About 10 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago, I said, go and have a game. And he scored 2.
I remember falling out with Kenny in a way when he played him in Ireland. And he came on and scored the goal. I was adamant that he shouldn't be put on. And he scored the goal. And he came on, I think he scored 2, he might have scored 2 in about 5 or 10 minutes.
He overcame the psychological barrier of playing. He scored 2 goals, so everything went perfectly for him that day. But then you had that they got against him being wanting to get back too quickly, and you just had to take the time, and he could accept that.
Oh, I'm a bad watcher. I can't. I mean, I love watching football, but certainly not when my team's involved and I'm not playing. And it was difficult when I come back from an injury, but realising, sitting back and looking at it now, Kenny was absolutely spot on not to put me straight back in, and it gave me a good 6 or 7 weeks, and I think it was 9 or 10 games, and he held me back, put the reins on me, and fed me in gently back, giving me 10 or 15 minutes here and half an hour here, and in the end he said, right, you're right now to go in, and this is your time. And I'd been nagging at him beforehand and trying to tell him that I was ready, and perhaps I wasn't, or I know I wasn't, and he was absolutely right to hold me back. The Newcastle game was the first goal I'd scored after the injury, and to score at Newcastle, a place I love, and in front of the friends and family, was couldn't have happened at a better place.
They look to pick out Shearer. Shearer's got in behind the defender. Is this Shearer's first of the season? It is. It's a dream return for Alan Shearer.
Shearer, and still Shearer. Yes!
Tend to go more for pace than accuracy. I think, in my opinion, if you hit a ball hard, I think probably 7 or 8 times out of 10 it's got half a chance of going in, rather than if you hit it with accuracy.
Shearer looking for the equaliser and producing it. How about that? Brilliant goal from Alan Shearer. And Shearer's made the break in here behind Pallister. It was a great ball. Shearer might finish it. Good-looking cross, and the header is into the back of the net, and Shearer's done it again.
Ripley. Shearer, great header, a great goal. It's his 50th for Blackburn Rovers. Sensational scoring either side of that serious knee operation.
The biggest strength we've got as a team, as a group of people, is the team spirit, and I think Blackburn is an hard-working town. You know, it's a mill town, and they'll appreciate anything as long as you give everything you got. And they like to see hard work, they like to see team spirit, and they'll forgive you most things as long as you do your best. And I think that's Alan Shearer. He epitomises that, in that they love him so much because he's what you see is what you get.
If you don't enjoy training, then you really shouldn't be involved in football. And as I've probably said before, but getting up at 8 o'clock, whatever time you get up, and actually looking forward to going to work, I think, should imagine would be pretty rare. But I think I'm extremely lucky to do that. And me, for one, I love training, love playing. If we can get a ball out, I mean, the side of football I don't like is the running side, which probably because I'm not very good at it. But if we're training with footballs, then I'll be up well early to go in, and no one enjoys it more than I do.
The most important day of the week's match day, so everything's geared towards match day, and the players are preparing themselves for match day. Training should be there for your benefit, and the benefit should be geared towards a game on the Saturday, Sunday, Monday, whatever day they play now.
And everybody has a different preparation point on a day before a game. So within a five-a-side, they can do what they like and do as much as they want. Usually it gets so serious that nobody shirks anyway. And it's important that you win on a Friday for some people. And Kenny virtually brought it here. And it happens in lots of clubs. The Friday is like the end of the week in a way that you're trying to get a togetherness, you're trying to get a lightening of the load. You know, during the week you've maybe done functional work and coaching and such.
Kenny was a great player, great on the ball, comfortable, and could do things on the ball that no one else could do. Still even got a little bit now, and we see him in training when he trains. He's obviously getting on a bit now, but losing his pace. But some of the things he still does in training are quite remarkable.
But I think within your character, there must be a little bit of everybody. Even people you work with that you don't want particularly good, there might be something that you learned off of them that you think, well, I'll take that on board when I go on in my life. And I think what you are, you're a clone of the people that you've been closest to. And I think Alan's, as I said before, a magnificent example for his parents and for the people that helped to bring him up and set his rules and set him on his way in life. And goal scoring is exactly the same.
Alan's probably scored thousands of goals in training, and in its way is hard work. It's the cross, you know, the shooting practices put on by the staff are geared up for the finisher, and finishers love hitting the back of the net. Defenders do as well in training. Some of their efforts are comical, and so you look and you think, well, there's two people who are both fit, they work hard, they do all the fitness training together, and yet when it comes to hitting the back of the net, even in training, one fella rarely does it and the other one does it 99% of the time. And I think from that point of view, it's an inborn thing, it's an instinctive thing. Alan Shearer, from a little boy, scored goals and wanted to score them, loved that feeling that you get. But it never dies, the good feeling for a striker to hear the ball ripple down the back of the net and the roar of the crowd and the acclamation that they get.
He really is what I consider to be a manager and coach's dream to work with, because he listens. Sometimes doesn't say a lot. Will say yes and no to some of your questions, and that's because he's already adapted to what you're actually asking him to do, and he can go out and do it.
He is a tremendous player, there's no doubt about that. I mean, I think you find with strikers, they score goals due to, I mean, he scored lots of goals where he's beat goalkeepers just with sheer power. I mean, sometimes you get a finger to it or a hand to it, but the power still takes it into the net, do you know what I mean? It, like you say, sometimes it bends your fingers back as well, which adds insult to injury.
It's hard work, but you're working hard and you're enjoying it so much that you don't really know that you're working hard. So, as I said, if you can't get up and look forward to actually kicking a ball around for a couple of hours, then you shouldn't be really involved in football.
The degree of athleticism now in the modern day soccer player is, without getting too heavy, is phenomenal. You're talking about your Shearers and your Collymores and your Fowlers and the United crew. I mean, you're talking mega fit. You know, I mean, absolutely superb athletes. Do you know at Burnley, you'll like this story. At Burnley, they had a right fullback called Reg Atwell. This is 1953. I was doing GCEs when they just come in, the first year of the GCEs. And do you remember? I remember Reg Atwell running on at Burnley in his football boots, laced up to the knee, leather boots, and he came out and you could smell liniment as they ran on and tobacco. And Reg Atwell came on and he had a fag on. And he came on, and I was in the enclosure with my dad. My dad always said, you can watch it well from the halfway line, you see all the game, get your money's worth. And Reg Atwell came on, and we thought nothing about it, and he put the fag out on the asphalt, and then ran onto the pitch, and blue smoke coming out of his... Seriously. I mean, imagine now Alan coming on with a woodbine on. Morning. You know, incredible, isn't it? But that's how the game was, you see. They never trained.
Jim Bowen invited me along to his pub for a question and answer night. And all the proceeds were going to charity. think it was a great evening. He drove me there and back and answered the questions and basically had a laugh.
Would you most like to play up front with for England?
Turn the camera off.
No, you do it, Al. It's all right. I think the rules on the taxi. You do it. You've no pressing, Al. You've no pressing.
Again, when I was a kid kicking a ball around in the streets of Newcastle, there was one thing I wanted to do, and that was play professional football and represent my country. And now that I've done that, in no way am I going to moan about a system or whatever. If I was asked to play right back or asked to play in goal for my country, then I'd do that.
I sat with him at Wembley recently when he was injured. I was just watching England play, and he was along the row from me, and we finished up sitting together. And instinctively, when the ball went to whoever was playing for England up front that day, I heard him say bang. He would go bang. In other words, that's when he would have had a shot. And as a pro, I was looking, and the other fella, whoever it was, didn't have the shot then, had another touch. And that's just a little thing, but it's a big thing when you think, because his mind probably acts quicker in that box, which is the most important part of the field, certainly for an attacker, that he possibly has shots where other people think about it. And that's why he's the best goal scorer.
Shearer in the 6-yard box. Hurst, Thomas and Wright waiting to come in from behind. That's Mark Wright. Shearer! Just before half-time, Alan Shearer of Southampton marks his England senior debut.
I think it was from a corner, and Mark Wright has headed it down, and I've got me back to goal. Managed to swivel and to put it in, and the feeling of scoring that goal was something I just can't describe to you. You speak to any footballer, not only in England but in the world, and they all want to play in front of a packed house at Wembley Stadium, and there possibly are better stadiums in the world now, but Wembley's just got that buzz and that feeling about it that everyone wants to play there.
All they want to start with is to be picked. That's the important thing, certainly at club level, any level, and at international level, naturally. But Alan Shearer, as we speak, is still the #1 choice for everybody. The formation the team plays is down to the manager. And it's not so much having plenty of bodies up, it's getting the ball there. And all a striker will want is give me the ball near the box. And especially Alan, he'll say, give me it and I'll finish it off.
Right, arrogant little flick from Gascoigne. Shearer coming in, scores! Lovely goal, lovely goal.
Beardsley. Shearer got back, bent the run to be onside. Flats in the centre on a hat-trick. Oh, Shearer's got one! It's sliced past Kalkamanis. It's 5-0. A very deserved goal for the player who works unselfishly in this system for the good of the team overall.
Yeah, it's a fascination. As I've said before, you get all different types, but Alan is as near the old-fashioned English type of centre-forward. Nat Lofthouse, for the people that are old enough to remember, Nat was called the Lion of Vienna, in a famous game in Austria, where he literally went in single-handed. I mean, like you're talking about the modern-day systems. Nat was up there, and they were kicking lumps off him, and he kept getting up and going back again, and he had, his heart was on his sleeve, and it was England through and through. All the cliches were coming out, and Alan Shearer's like that. So through history, there's been centre forwards, and they're a different breed, and not necessarily a dying breed, because he's proof that they're still there.
I think Nat Lofthouse was a tank type player, and although Alan is not big and strong, he is big and strong. He's got a low centre of gravity, and he can brush people off. But he's single-minded. He's a bit like Malcolm McDonald in a way. He's single-minded to score goals.
David Thomas. Ball to Thomas. McDonald, number 5! And McDonald becomes the first man since the war to score 5 in a match for England.
There's a touch of Malcolm McDonald about him, in my opinion. and the connection with the North East. Malcolm's Cockney through and through, but I mean, he played in Newcastle, and that's where he had his best days. And he was that same type where he got the ball, and if he was facing the goal, everybody in the ground started to get excited because they knew that it would take a brick wall to stop him getting in there and having a shot.
McDonald with the chance to make it that. There it is. And McDonald scores his second.
Similar type of bill, strong, sturdy, and very hard to shake off the ball. Good in the air, loved finishing, and played well for England. But I think Alan will have a longer career with England.
Shearer in the centre, Anderton joining him, and Platt. Shearer! Beautifully taken.
Well, Graham was such a good crosser of the ball. This is the Blackburn connection. Comes away from the defender, and this is a magnificent header to actually dive, throw yourself forward and get the power. No chance for the goalkeeper. Great goal.
Up to now, I've only won one major honour in the game, with team-wise, and that was obviously the biggest prize in the game, which is the League Championship medal. I've been lucky enough to experience winning that. Hopefully there'll be a few more. I've won a few personal awards as well, Players of the Seasons, and they all mean a great deal to me, along with my England caps as well.
Playing isn't just the only thing when you're representing your country, it's how you behave and how you act out in public and how you carry the extra mantle of the international. I think he's aware of his position in society. He's England's #1 choice, and he's a family man. I always think that's important.
I think there's one Alan Shearer that plays football and is in the football world, if you like, and then there's another one that will come on and with his family, then you'll see a totally different one. But I mean, I'm like everyone else. Everyone else needs their privacy, and I need it now and again. But I mean, I look at it as if I'm privileged to be in that position, and I've got to give a certain amount back to the public, and I never see that as a problem.
They're daddy's girls, definitely. He never brings like troubles home with him ever. It's really good like that. If he has a bad game, he's like straight up there, see you and give them a kiss, like after the game and everything, if they're in bed, and that's it.
They're starting to grow up now, especially Chloe. She's starting to answer me back now, which I don't know whether it's a good thing or a bad thing really. She's 3 in September, and Holly is 2 in December, so they're just at their age now where you can start and have a laugh and start and play with them, so it's great for me.
Chloe's quite confident, outgoing. Holly was a very, very good baby, but she's going to turn. I know, you can see it in those eyes, you know, she's going to be a naughty little girl.
At the end of the day, the kids aren't bothered whether you've won, lost or drawn or whatever. They just want you to come home and play with them, and they're not bothered whether their dad scored a goal or the dad's been booked or the dad's been beaten. At the end of the day, I'm just their dad, and they want to play with them.
I think the one that stands out in my mind the most, I think, is the very first season against Norwich when we won 7-1, I think, and my first goal.
Blackburn lead 4-1, and it's not even half-time. Just look at this.
I think that one is possibly one of the best, and also last season against QPR, my third one, I think from about 25 yards.
penalty taker at Southampton, because Matt Letizia was the regular one. And, I mean, his record speaks for itself. I think he's got 32 out of 33 or something like that. And I remember, I think I took about 3 at Southampton and missed one of them against Leeds at the Dell. But when I came to Blackburn, wasn't mentioned at all until we got the first penalty in my first season. I think it was away to Coventry. I'd been brought down, and I think I was nearest the ball, so just grabbed the ball and put it on the spot, and it went in. And I think, as it stands, I think I've got something like 11 out of 12, which is not too bad. There's a lot of pressure. I mean, you're in a no-win situation, to be honest. If you score, you're expected to. If you miss, then you're the villain.
Is it number 30 for the season for Shearer? Now he's taking his time. Here he goes. Just about.
At the end of the day, the goals, to be honest. I mean, that's what matters to me. But they are. I mean, they're harder than people think. I mean, when there's 30,000 behind the goal screaming, and sometimes when they're away, and they all want you to miss, like, there's a lot of pressure on you. You're never going to go through a season and playing well every game, and certainly we were no different.
We was always chasing the season before. Last year we were there top of the league from November onwards, and we nearly proceeded to lose it late on.
The things that you do aren't premeditated. You do them because you believe what you're doing to be right, and we just kept trying to, or I certainly believed that they were better players and a better team than what they themselves gave themselves credit for.
And there were times when we should have won it with six weeks of the season to go, but because Blackburn hadn't won anything for 81 years, the pressure was getting to us. Although we couldn't say that at the time, it was, and our performances suggested that.
They kept themselves going right to the very end, and although it came down to ourselves at Anfield and Manchester United at Upton Park, there was 41 games or something before that helped to influence it as well. So it was great television work, but the season in the Championship wasn't decided in one game.
That's Sutton. That's Shearer! 2-0! It gets better and better for Blackburn.
It was a game at Everton where we were clinging on. We went 2-0 up after, I think, 6 minutes, and then we got absolutely battered for the rest of the game and should have lost the game, but we'd taken all 3 points out of the game. And the Newcastle game at home where we'd won 1-0, but from a miraculous performance by Tim Flowers, and we would have been beaten 3 or 4. And perhaps after that we thought, hang on a minute, the luck is with us, and we are going to win it.
Sometimes you wake up and you think you're going to be successful. And that Sunday I woke up and you just had a feeling. It was our day, I was just going to come away with a trophy at the end of the day. And really the match was filling in time. And it's the truth, really, and I can't explain why that came about.
The draw was no good to us. We had to win to make sure that we'd won the league, and if we'd won, then there's nothing Manchester United could have done about it. And as I said, we went 1-0 up at Anfield and thought, this is ours now, we're going to win it now. After seeing the 2 goals go in and hearing the events at Upton Park later, I thought that our name perhaps was on the Championship.
The guy at the side of the tunnel, he started the match with Liverpool strip on, half time with the Blackburn strip on. He told me to score before the Sky Television people told us. And I don't know if we actually took centre after Jamie Redknapp's goal. It was an unbelievable free kick, but it just peeled into insignificance. But what a goal it was.
The look on everyone's faces when the ball hit the back of the net was something I'll never forget, and the feeling that went through me is We've lost it now.
When Jamie Redknapp scored, I was like devastated. I thought, oh no. And I remember just sat there staring at the back of the wooden seat in front of me thinking, oh no.
As it turned out, I mean, in a matter of 10 seconds, we'd gone from losing the championship to winning it.
10 seconds later, that was it. We knew we'd won. But for that minute, oh, it was the worst moment of my life. Oh no.
I'd seen everyone jumping around on the bench, and to see that was, as I said, a great feeling. And then our game was still going on, but all our players were celebrating.
Fortunately, everything finished really successfully and enjoyably for us, and I don't think there'd be too many people who grudge on that.
Well, in the end, I'm pleased it went that way because of the experience that it gave me and gave the rest of the side, and it'll stand us all in good stead for the future, whatever happens in our careers. But at the time, as I said, we should have sewn it up with 5 or 6 weeks to go.
Shearer, he's in here. Alan Shearer hammers it in. 1-1. It's a landmark for Shearer. It's his 100th league goal.
Yeah, I think if you take the fun out of football, then it wouldn't be worth playing. But on the same scale, you've got to want to win, and want to win badly. But you certainly haven't got to let it affect you and try not to take it home with you. Or certainly I don't anyway.
Well, the saddest thing about winning the league is you spend the second season doing a lap of honour. You can't follow it, you see.
Well, we started the season with very high expectations and didn't really live up to them in the first half of the season. We didn't win as many league games and cup games as well in the first half of the season. But I think if you take our second half of the season, there was only 1 or 2 teams that bettered us points-wise in the league. So from that point of view, it was encouraging. But the high points were, I managed to win the Golden Boot again, the league's leading scorer, and also to score over 30 league goals again, which was the first time anyone's ever done that. Personal point of view, it wasn't too bad a season for me.
Shearer getting up well. Henry still forward. Good effort! Oh, that's a brilliant goal by the goal scorer supreme. Alan Shearer makes it 1-1. Brilliant goal. United must have felt they'd dealt with the problem initially when Shearer headed it on. Cleared by Neville, whack, left foot, the accuracy of Shearer's shot.
Any youngster looking at this, there's no easy route to success in any walk of life. And the fact in football is some people might make it look easier.
Unbelievable. I mean, he's a one-off without any shadow of a doubt.
I think every person's an individual, and I don't think he should be compared with anyone else, because I think it would be like Alan Shearer. With the greatest respect to everybody, thousands of other players, I think Alan Shearer's Alan Shearer, and that's just where it ends.
Alan Shearer, he's got a clear sight and goal, and wouldn't you know it? The man is absolutely incredible.
I think I just want to enjoy the game after the injury I had. so close to being forced out of the game. But I just want to enjoy playing football, and that's all I want to do, is because I love the game so much. I get so much pleasure out of it. My ambition is to just enjoy football, and if winning things comes along, then that'll be a big, big bonus.
And if I can make people happy, then great. And I suppose that's what I'm there for, to put the smiles on people's faces by scoring goals or by getting 3 points when I'm out on the football pitch.